The United States is about to get our first ever Black woman Supreme Court justice, and that's in the court's 233-year history. The Senate's 53-47 vote Thursday to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson was announced by Vice President Kamala Harris, the first Black person and first woman to hold that office. Jackson's Senate supporters then stood to applaud, while some Republican senators, well, they just walked out. Friday, the White House held a ceremony on the South Lawn to celebrate Jackson's historic nomination and this amazing moment in American history. Joining us to discuss, Christina Greer, Associate Professor at Fordham University, also Wendy Osefo, Democratic Strategist and Professor at Johns Hopkins University. So Wendy, Judge Jackson watched the confirmation vote with President Biden at the White House, and I was just so struck by the images showing so many emotions seeming to cross her face, like hope, excitement, maybe even a sense of the weight of the duties that she's taking on as a soon-to-be sworn in, now confirmed justice on the Supreme Court, Judge Jackson. And then there's the letter Senator Warnock wrote to his daughter on Vice President Harris's stationery saying, quote, "She is the first Supreme Court justice who looks like you with hair like yours." Oh, my goodness. Lay out for us how you're processing this confirmation and what do you think it means for Black women and girls?
It is a historic moment, and I really am processing it to the point that I can't put it into words. I remember when, Kamala Harris came and she said that this is now confirmed. I just broke down into tears. And I feel like it's the feeling that many Black women had, where we had so much emotion watching her hearing, but we had to temper that. And it was almost a sigh of relief for all of us the moment we could show our emotion. Because as Black women, we are policed about our emotion. And as a mother of a Black girl, it is a historic moment. But, aside from the history of it, let us speak to the facts here. The facts are this justice is one of the most qualified ever. But when you look at the final numbers, you mentioned it earlier, 53-47, then you look at the justice that she is, replacing, which is Breyer, his voting was, I believe it was 68-31. She is more qualified than him. But it's a testament that as Black women, we have to do twice as much to get half. But let us not forget that she is more than qualified for this position. It's not because she's Black that she got here. Everything that she has earned it. It was never given to her. And that is what is the testament of this nomination and this confirmation.
It's so funny that people always say, like, oh, you only got the job because you're Black, or you only got into the school because you're Black, or you only got this particular nomination because you're Black. No. You didn't get it because you were Black. It was twice as hard because you were Black, and you're there because you're excellent. And Christina, one of the things I think a lot about is what Wendy said about how we always have to temper our emotions. I think about this 24 hours a day because basically my whole day is spent trying to make sure that I don't come across as angry because everybody assumes that is, who I am and who Black women are because of stereotypes. You wrote an article for the Griot that her confirmation is a time to, quote, reflect and rejoice. Talk about the reflections that we're all doing about what she had to go through during this confirmation, hearing the way that she was able to clearly moderate her emotions and not get angry in the face of attacks, but also how we should rejoice in this moment.
Yeah, Zerlina, I mean, the reflection is, these are people who were calling to see Justice Jackson's LSAT scores, right? They wanted to, all of a sudden, going to Harvard was too elite. She has 2 degrees from Harvard, so now that's a negative. I think, similar to what Wendy was saying, we have a collective PTSD as Black women, witnessing how Judge Jackson was denigrated by men who couldn't hold a candle to her CV in any capacity. And she had to sit there and accept it and take it and present herself as the sort of middle of the road, tempered woman, because she's also, we have to remember the significance of the gender piece as well. But as a Black woman, to sit there and have men question her qualifications and her credibility, I wanted to just sit with, as I put in the article, what Constance Baker Motley had to go through when she became the first federal judge ever in the history of the nation, appointed by LBJ when he was president. I wanted to think about Shirley Chisholm, when she ran for the presidency in 1972 and couldn't get the support of Black men or white women. And then I wanted to rejoice, just as Wendy said, we know that there's so many Black women who support Black women. So as I mentioned in the piece, seeing Lisa Fairfax stand there and defend, but also contextualize her good friend. I wanted to rejoice in the fact that, yes, this is a historic moment for our very young nation, but over 2 centuries. And then honestly, really thinking about her parents and our parents who got to witness this, thinking about the sacrifices that many of our grandparents never got to witness, and knowing all the hard work that not just Judge Jackson went through, but all of us collectively as Black women. She serves as a symbol of the hard work that all of us have gone through to get to these upper echelons and what we still have to do to prove that we deserve to be there. Because just as you, Wendy, and I know very well, they're not giving these degrees to Black girls. They're not giving these acceptances to Black women in these elite spaces, especially Ivy League spaces. So, if all of a sudden these jobs are going to Black women, show me where. Because we just had the first Black Supreme Court justice in the history of this nation. So clearly that is not the case. We know that we have deficits when it comes to cabinet positions, Fortune 500 positions, you name it, the list is long. Black women are still excluded because of race and gender and the intersection of both. So this is a day to rejoice another Black woman succeeding, but knowing also she did so with the support of other Black women.
I love that. And Wendy, one of the things I think about is how young children are watching this moment in American history, not just adult Black women. You're a parent. What do you think it meant to your kids, to young Black children, to see Judge Jackson be confirmed, but also to see the reaction of all of us, the parents, reflecting and rejoicing, to Christina's point, about the history being made in this moment?
I think it means a lot to children. Zerlina, I've been on your show a while now, and I always tell you that sometimes we think that kids don't notice, but they actually do. They pay attention to everything we say. They pay attention to our emotions, and they pay attention to our reactions. And for my children, my daughter was home when this happened, actually. One of her comments was, look at her hair. They showed Justice Jackson in the White House, and they showed her, beside Biden. And she said it casually, not really understanding the historic moment of it, because she's only 2.5 years old, but she just noticed her hair. And I think that's so important. And after my daughter said that, I took to my Twitter and I said, how amazing is it that I could tell my children I witnessed the first Black president. I witnessed the first Black woman vice president. And now I am witnessing the first Black woman to, be on the Supreme Court. And that's a historic moment. And all I could, sum it up by saying is, what a time to be alive. So many of our ancestors couldn't even put together what this moment will mean. And as a parent, I am just so blessed and almost beside myself that I can witness this, but be able to, I'm looking for the day when I am 80 years old and I can sit in my rocking chair and tell my kids where I was for each of these historic moments, because it's history. And I think that it propels the future generations to want to do more, because they see how much it has impacted us, that they will not be rejoicing in the first anymore, because this will no longer be something that is abnormal, but this will be something that is normal for them.
I love that. In terms of the next generation, Christina, it's clear that this is history coming at a time where it's needed, right? Because of so many of the issues, whether they be the threats to our democracy, the racial reckoning from 2020, the civil rights issues that are in front of the Supreme Court right now. In terms of the ideological makeup of the court, she doesn't shift the balance. But how important do you think it is, in the last few minutes here, that this representation and the 3 liberal justices, all are women, by the way, how important do you think that is in this particular moment in American history? As
you said, Zerlina, we're still basically at a 6-3 court. And, the issues that are coming before the court are of grave concern, not just for women, not just for people of color, immigrants, that everyone should be concerned. But their descriptive representation does matter. If you can see it, you can be it. And we know that the more people who can see Justice Jackson, they might think about law school in a different way. They might think about district level courts or appellate level courts. And that's really important. As far as the substantive conversations, I'm hoping that the temperament of Justice Jackson will help some of her colleagues see the importance of some of these issues. I don't know if she'll necessarily be able to sway them, but we know that the more and more people who are on the court making different arguments and opinions, and you know that better than anyone, hopefully some of her colleagues who have been persuaded on particular issues in the past can hear a new voice and possibly think about the future of our democracy in a different way.
I hope it inspires a whole generation of lawyers. I know that Eyes on the Prize and seeing Thurgood Marshall, that inspired me to go to law school, even though I never practiced. The education is critical. Professors Christina Greer and Wendy Osefo, thank you so much, both of you, for being here on This Week in History. I'm just going to bask a little bit for a moment. Just give me a moment. Please stay safe.